Hey everybody, it's me, Luna the Zen Witch, with another unboxing of the Tarot video, and today we are unboxing the African American Tarot. I have had several Afrocentric decks on my wish list for a while, and yet I had not yet bought them, so I decided to rectify that. And this was the first one that arrived. It's by Scarabeo, Jamal R., and Thomas Davis. Beautiful images, beautiful, very tribal images. All right, no information on the outside of the box. Let's jump in. Ooh, and I have boxes to tape. Whee! So here's a blocking card, the African American Tarot. Very cool. That's first I looked at the back side. Okay. So here we go. And there's a, Scarabeo is putting this card in, like all of their newer decks. It says, Tools for a Spiritual Journey with Tarot Associations worldwide. And it's an invitation to go and join this thing. With this invitation, you'll receive an exclusive Scarabeo 15% discount in your first year membership. So it is a yearly thing that you have to pay for. I have not looked into it further than that. There's the little white book. And here are the images. The Fool. Very much the standard iconography. About to jump off the cliff, but he's got a monkey on his heels instead of a puppy. And then we have the Magician. Ooh, look at the fire. Look at the droplets of fire. And that flaming sword. And I'm trying to see, it's almost like there's a plate floating there with candy. It looks like candy. I don't know. And now I do remember when I looked at this the first time that I wanted to go along with the book because, and very briefly, but this will be a longer video, but stick around to the end because I haven't done a reading with this deck yet, and we're going to. So the Fool stands for soul and light. And soul, and with the major arcana, at least so far, there are meanings under light and meanings under shadow. So rather than upright and reverse, we have light and shadow. So the Fool stands for soul. The Magician is the first man, which is, please, dear goddess, help me not slaughter these, Adriambahomanana from Madagascar. So the majors have actual cultural deities. The High Priestess is reason and language, and her image is Minona, the divining sorcerer goddess from Togo and Benin. Look at the beauty of these images. Oh. 3, the Empress is mother, and this is Oshun, goddess of love, creativity, and fertility. She's from Nigeria. And the owl, yes, beautiful. The Emperor, father, is Olorun, god of the sky and father of the gods, also Nigeria. So one assumes that Oshun and Olorun are spouses. 5, the Hierophant, magic and writing, and this is Tsui, god of witch doctors from Namibia. 6 is the Lovers, which is land, agriculture, and harvest, and it's, again, Adriambahomanana and Adriamahilala, the first human beings in Madagascar. And, I mean, aren't those names like singing? They just roll off. Okay. Then we have the Chariot. Animals, hunting and grazing, and this is Oya, goddess of storm and change. in Nigeria. She is a badass driving the chariot here. Come on. Come on, love. Pop in. There we are. Driving the buffaloes. Get my super wavy hair out of the way. Yeah, I've been shooting Hogwarts video all day, so I'm kind of mushy-brained, and yes, I have makeup on. Do you think I'd get dressed up for you guys? Pfft, get real. Okay, 8 is strength, and this is the warrior, and this is Shango, warrior god of storm, Nigeria. Shango. Then we have the hermit, witch doctor, Deng, civilizing god who abandoned mankind in disgust. Abandoned mankind in disgust, and he is Sudan. This is the wheel. It's weather in the seasons. Elegua, god of crossroads and opportunities, Nigeria. This is justice, law, tribe, ethnic people, or ethnic group and people. And this is Chosi, god of justice, from Nigeria. There's such dynamic images. The closer I get. All right, there we go. You know, there's a lot of dynamic tension in them. There's a lot of movement in them. And this is the observer initiation ritual. So this would be, what would this be? Hanged Man. Thank you for not showing a man hanging in an African American deck. Wow. Okay, so this is like an initiate, the observer, initiation and ritual. Ifa, god of fate and destiny in Nigeria. And really, you know, the Hanged Man does show an initiatory process, because the man in the card classically is hanging by a foot, sometimes not bound by a foot, but just, you know, with his foot hooked over something. So he is willfully submitting to something. But I'm glad not to see that image here. This is death. Atai, goddess dispenser of the gift of death and conflict, Nigeria. The gift of death and conflict. This is temperance, medicine and spirits, and this is Babalu Aye, god of recovered health, from Nigeria. Then we have the devil, obscurity and deception, and this is Anansi the mocker, West Africa. You afraid of spiders? Look away. Gorgeous. 16, the tower, corruption and evil. This is Gaunab, god of evil, catastrophes and epidemics, from South Africa. Look at these images, you know, where they do depart from the standard. I just love it. The dynamic energy. Look at this. Things crashing down. And this is, it stands for corruption and evil. Stars, the sky. This is Akuj, god of the sky and the rain, from Kenya. Notice they call her a god and not goddess. The moon, which stands for woman. This is Mawu, female half of the creator god Mawu Lisa. And this is Lisa, the male half of the creator god Mawu Lisa. And this is, they are from West Africa. Then this is judgment, the earth and origins, and this is Kakaguai, god of funeral rites, ferryman of souls, the Ivory Coast. And then we've got the world, Oduduwa, who took over from his brother Obatala the task of completing the creation by Olorun, Nigeria. Look at the serpent going around the world. And I know I was more concerned with the gods there than the images, but just, I mean, the images are just beautiful. Very evocative. I got to open my window. It's getting warm in here. It's a very cool day here, just in the 60s, and I've had to close the windows a couple times, close them and open them, and close them and open them. Okay, now we go into the chalices. And the thing that I was wondering when I first looked through these in the major arcana is that they're called the African American Tarot. And the majors are African images. There's nothing American about any of these images. We are talking about African tribal cultural deities from all over the continent, and nothing American about it. So I kind of started to bristle, and I thought, come on, Los Scarabeo, what gives here? So let's move on now to the chalices. And each of these also has a nameable being on it. The ace is Buk, the goddess of water, in the origins in Sudan. Then, okay, so we have her. Still entirely African. Now let's go to the Two of Cups, Two of Chalices. And it's Unkunlunkulu, the god who invented marriage in Zulu, and Jean-Baptiste du Sable. So here we go. And they say in the book, like, who this is in this image. He was born in Haiti in 1745 and died in St. Charles, Missouri in 1818. It doesn't say anything else about who he is. So I had to go and pull out my Black History flashcards. Urban Intellectuals. You can get Black History flashcards. They're wonderful things. And he's in here, like up close, because okay. Jean-Baptiste Pointe du Sable. Born in San Domingo, he was a frontier trader, trapper, farmer, entrepreneur, peacekeeper, and protector of Native Americans. Founded a settlement that later became the city of Chicago. So there we go. And there's more information about him, but he is the founder of the city of Chicago. So each one of these, except for the aces, and I'm not sure about the court cards, but we'll get there, has an African, one of the standard images, Two of Cups, or Two of Chalices, whatever they're called, shows relationship, two people kind of connecting. And then we have the god up there, the god who invented marriage, and then we have Jean-Baptiste du Sable. So each one of these cards now is going to bring in Black people from American culture, and I kind of love that. Now, I'm not going to go through every one of the names on every one of these. This is Mbaba Mwana Waresa. God, these names are so much fun to say. Goddess of beer and harvests, Zulu, and Louis Armstrong. So what's Three of Cups usually talk about? Celebration. And look at Louis Armstrong, how much joy he brought. Then we have the Friendship of the Orphan and the Lion, and James Augustine Healy. I'm going to look him up, and probably this will be the last one, and then we will go through. Healy. I thought I had him in here. Oh, well. It's certainly going to take more research, and I can certainly do that research because I have a lot to learn. And I'm, we're trying to get some things done here. Okay, so Four of Chalices. And you kind of see that apprehensive face that echoes the Four of Cups. That sort of disappointment, disillusionment. The Five of Cups. Definitely stress. Look at that beastie. This is Moshanyana, the hero slayer of the monster Kolumolumo from South Africa, and Frederick Douglass. Then we have the Six of Chalices, which talks about reminiscences. And on here we see Bessie Smith. And, people having a good time. Oh, look at the masks. This is Seven of Chalices, and Paul Laurence Dunbar is on here. I'm going to say their names, but like I said, I'm not going to stop and look things up. Some you will recognize, some you will not. This is Malcolm X, if you don't recognize that name, Seven of Cups. We're thinking about possibilities. This is the Eight of Cups. And that is, oh no, the 9. That was the 8. This is the 9, Matthew Henson. He was an explorer. 10, look at that serpent. Look at the rainbow serpent. Oshunmare, the rainbow snake in Nigeria, and Joseph Cinque. And then we have the page. They do knave, knight, queen, king. So there's the knave of cups. And we have deities again. There's Legba. The knight is the hare. Oh, yeah. The queen is Marwe, the woman who came back from beyond the grave, South Africa. And the king is Hatsi Abib, deified hero who defeated Gagorib. Okay. Then we come to Pentacles. So we have the feminine elements listed first. The Two of Pentacles. Duke Ellington. And this is Benjamin Banneker, obviously an astronomer, space scientist. This is Granville Woods. Ooh, where are we at? 5. 5. And that's Aiga Musha, the demon man-eater of the desert, and Sojourner Truth. So you look at the 5 of Pentacles that usually talks about, you know, being out in the cold and resourceless and abandoned, talks about abandonment. And look at Sojourner Truth here, who was the help and the lifeline of the abandoned and those seeking freedom. And here we have Harriet Tubman. This is the 6 of Pentacles. We have Engai and Naiteru, the God-giver of the flock to the founder of the Maasai tribe. So you look at, yes, the giving of resources, grace. The 7 of Pentacles. Tano, god of healing, and Henry Ocean Flipper. The 8 is Gu, the god of tools of Benin and Togo, and Elijah McCoy. So that, you know, they really have brought in imagery from history and tied it in with the meanings of the cards. The Boy in the Coin-Filled Gourds, Senegal, and Jan Matzeliger. I wish I could, you know, sit and look up every one of these in the review, but I'm not going to take that time. Ombwiri, ancestral protecting spirits, and there's Martin Luther King. And then we have the Knave, the Knight, the Queen, and the King. And I'm only going to go through the images of the last 2 suits here. Look at the baobab tree for the wands. Oh, that's beautiful. That looks like a black cowboy. Look at the baby. The 2 of Wands, the 3 of Wands. Certainly African imagery. I love it. I love the colors of it. I love the richness. You can feel heat in it. You know, the artwork is really beautiful. 5. The Chameleon, the 6 of Wands, victory, certainly. The 7. Oh, okay, who's that? That is Dubiaku, the child who deceived death in Ghana. So that's death. And another mountain climber, I'm assuming. And the oof, look at that image. The 9 of Wands and the 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands, talking about burdens. These are the night walkers. Evil witch doctors. And we have the Knave, Ah, and the Knight, god of wizardry and metamorphosis, Tsui Goab. And whoops, the Queen. Look at this. And the King, just rich, beautiful and rich. And now we're on to the swords. Look at this split image. Okay, Adroa Adro, divinity with a dual nature. I'll say the 3. You definitely get the feel of somebody looking. The wanderer who defeated Chirui is who this depicts. Learning, experience earned with valor, desire for self-improvement. So very different than the 3 of Swords in the standard tarot deck. And 4 of Swords would seem to be a departure to a Congo abandons mankind, the creator god who abandons his creatures. What an interesting concept for a god, huh? And, you know, what they're talking about there is withdrawal, abandonment, solitude. So kind of vibes with the standard meaning. And there we have the 5 of Swords. The 6. Reasoning, curiosity, experimentation. Okay, hold on. This is Ngunza Trap's death. Reasoning, curiosity, experimentation, travel, move to another place, experience. Okay, well, the 6 of Swords usually does show you moving forward in some way, but that's not what I'm seeing here. That looks more like the 8 of Swords and being sort of trapped. Oh, well. The baboon tricks the lion. Gagarib, the troublemaking demon. And then we have Ula Kanyana, the dwarf demon sworn enemy of mankind. For the 9. And the 10, the monster that almost devoured the whole world. That's Kolumolumo from Lesotho. And then we have the knave. And the knight. Molly, the queen, and the king. So, really a beautiful deck. And feeling like a breath of fresh air, too. All right, let's see how we shuffle. Not bad at all. Okay, let's do 3 riffles. I'm going to ask for 3 cards. So what do we need to know right now? Everybody that's watching this video in our changing world, our world that is in crisis and deep, deep change. Now let's take 3 cut shuffles and then 3 off the top. All right. Okay, so we have the World card. This is Odudwa, who took over from his brother Obatala the task of completing the creation by Olorun. This is from Nigeria. The light says satisfactory outcome of a cycle, success, completion, full awareness, good reputation. So, you know, of course, I'm doing an African deck, so I'm thinking about what's going on now in this big cultural push that seems to be growing roots this time, because finally the white world is taking up this cause, rightfully. So I'm looking at this and going, something satisfactory is going to come of this. And there actually came some words out of 45's mouth the other day of, oh yeah, you know, if he lost, he would just go do something else. I think he's really, really tired of doing what he's doing. He's tired of not being liked. Get used to that one, buddy. Okay, and then the Pentacles. We have, sorry, I'm clearing my throat a lot. I burned a lot of incense today. The King. Soede. Conqueror, prince, and innovator, Nigeria. An ambitious man, a fighter, a valorous person. Innovation, practical intelligence, initiative, success, businessman. A fighter and a valorous person. Okay. Then let's go to Five of Swords and we'll look at them all together. Five of Swords, the lion, the leopard, and the hunter. And Marcus Garvey. This is defeat, failure, loss of privileges, dishonor, infamy, exile. And you know what? I'm looking at, yeah, only the majors have light and shadows. Everything else just has one chunk of meanings. Five of Swords. So we're talking about defeat, failure, loss, dishonor, infamy, and exile. And then here is a valorous man. Okay, what's going on here? So the world in general talks about the completion of something and an all-access pass and coming to fruition, something coming to its final stage. And so something certainly is coming to completion here. And then the valorous man I'm looking at is the protesters. All of these people that are standing up and putting their lives out there and putting their health and their bodies out there to make the message heard, to get the attention that needs to be gotten. So who in particular, if you know, we're talking about a particular person, I don't know about that. I think it's an entire group of people. And of course, President Obama is coming to mind because of his work with the with defunding the police, with 8 Can't Wait. You know, we're rooting out racism that is written into our codes in the U.S. and written into our DNA as white Americans. So the valorous man here is people as a whole standing up, as a whole taking action. Now, the Five of Swords, I'm not too down with there. It's talking about defeat. And Five of Swords, I usually talk about going either way. It's victory or defeat. It's win-lose. It's a win-lose situation. Failure, loss of privileges, dishonor, infamy, exile. Okay, so there are those that are coming to dishonor and infamy and exile. There certainly are, and there is a defeat coming. So I am going to take this to mean the defeat not just of Donald Trump, but the defeat of the GOP in general, the defeat of the Confederacy, for God's sake, for once and for all, the defeat of racism, the defeat of white supremacy, the defeat of a culture that is so stacked in favor of people that look like me. And especially if they have a penis. So I am liking this defeat. So we've got this valorous man and the world showing something really coming to fruition and completion. And then on this side, there's defeat. Interesting that they're kind of facing in. This is the weak position here. And, you know, I mean, I want to feel like I'm overlaying my own stuff on it, but that's what it's saying here. So I think we're going to take it at that. This is a beautiful deck, and I have another one that you will be seeing soon, and that's the Afro-Brazilian deck, another Los Scarabeo. And I tried to order one called the Black Angel cards, and they're out of print, and I found one that sounded like it was cards. It was called Black Angel Cards, but it's a book called Black Angel Cards. And I can't find the cards anywhere. I mean, the author is sold out, and I wish her a massive printing and another sellout. So I can't really bring those to you, but it does bring up that there are issues sometimes when you're looking at used sites in particular, and you're trying to find a deck and not a book about a deck. Sometimes the descriptions are really unhelpful. I've had ones that sound like books that are decks, and that sound like decks that are books. So even looking it up an ISBN number, it doesn't say there is a book and this many cards. It's just, So anyway, just a little bit of a bitch there. Beautiful, beautiful deck. I'm getting kind of mesmerized by the design in the back here. I would say definitely recommend. And of course, being Lo Scarabeo, we only have these first 14 pages we talk about the Celtic cross. That's what it is. Actually, it's not a Celtic cross. How appropriate is that it's not Celtic? Okay, the first man was African, is what it says here. It is common knowledge by now that the human race got its start in Africa. For thousands of years, the African continent was the cradle of mankind, and it developed great civilizations and many different ethnic groups. This is one of the reasons why we cannot speak of a single African culture if we want to use the term to indicate a uniform set of myths, legends, and cultural references, much less if we want to speak of a unified Afro-Western culture. The historic atrocities of slavery, followed by those of racism and segregation, have robbed the individual African communities of the direct ties to their original culture without ever entirely breaking those ancient bonds. Afro-American culture, history, art, and mythology are defined by a common origin, Africa. This common origin is the cornerstone of this deck. And I was thinking about this the other day, that European witches in the European tradition have kind of had to recreate the wheel from scratch. We've had to make it up as we go along a lot of the way, because there are very few threads that are unbroken from the times of the atrocities and the witch burnings. But even though their lives were stolen and interrupted by the slave trade, they brought their traditions with them. They covered them over with the language of Christianity. When their traditions were banned, they just adopted different names. They looked at a particular saint and said, oh, that sounds like Oya, or that sounds like Obatala. And then they would just use that Christian name to mean that god. And so they carried on the traditions. So when you read about roots magic, it's a lot closer to the source than a lot of European traditions are right now, European-based traditions. Okay, so this reading that they show here is called Anansi's Web. And I'm looking here, it says the deck is based on a number of key concepts: archetypes, mythology, tradition, association. And then here is this Anansi's Web. There's the query, which is number 1, the trap encountered by the querent along the way. 2 is the fear linked to this trap. 3 is the dangers of the trap. And 4 is the opportunities connected with the trap. The way out then, so 1, 2, 3, 4 down here. The way out, 5, 6, and 7, someone's help, someone's interference, an unexpected event, 5, 6, and 7. And then 8 is the test that you have to pass. And 9 and 10, 9 is the price to pay, and 10 is what the querent will obtain. So that's the outcome. That's an awesome reading. An awesome spread there. And that's all you get until you get to the next language. So, of course, with Lo Scarabeo, there are many languages in the book, not a lot of detailed writing about it. I would like to see Lo Scarabeo invest in larger books for some of its decks and a little bit deeper writing. I've said that before with some of the other LS decks. At any rate, very frickin' cool deck. Very happy to have it as part of the collection. Happy to be talking to you again. Hope you're having a great summer. I hope you're staying safe. I hope that you are finding something to donate your time and your resources to help push our country in the direction of equality. Go to Obama.org, look for resources of what you can donate to, what efforts you can help. If you can't get out and protest, you could certainly get out and vote. You can certainly find out what's happening in your area with your local governments. Police departments are local government things, so it's got to change at the roots there. And I hope that you're applying your magic to this and lifting it up. Lift it up, lift it up, lift it up. My prayers every morning are asking the goddess to take us where we need to go. Take us where we obviously need to go for justice and equality. So, good to see you. I will see you again on Friday with an Oracle unboxing. And until then, this is the Zen Witch. Blessed be.